Greetings and welcome to In the Loop Weekend Ag Talk, brought to you by Alphen Insurance Agency, the home of Policy Plus. This is about take number 6 for the day. This would have been a great day to have a bloopers video of recordings of In the Loop Weekend Ag Talk. But if you can't laugh at yourself and have a good time, what good is it? Let's jump over and see how markets finished up on Friday of Memorial Day weekend. Kind of up and down if you look at last week compared to this week. Grains finished mostly higher this week, while cotton is off a little compared to last week. July corn finished the week at 604 even. December corn finished the week up at 534 and a half. When we look at July wheat, we finished out the week at 616, and September wheat finished out the week at 629 and a half. July cotton finished the week down at 83.35, and the same for December cotton. That finished the week at 80.54. July soybeans finished the week at 13.37 and a quarter, and November soybeans finished the week at 11.89 and a half. When you insure with Alphen Insurance Agency, you get Policy Plus. We don't just let you sign up for the same old thing you've always had every year. Each year, we like to do a policy review with each of our customers and make sure that you've got the latest and most up-to-date coverage to match the needs of your farming operation. Give us a call today. We'll be glad to sit down and look over what you've got going and see what we need to do to help get you ready for next year. And as always, thank you to our current customers, and thank you to those farmers who are letting us go on their farms and tell them about Alphen Insurance Agency and how we would like to partner with them. When we look at local and state news, the USDA North Carolina Weekly Production Cost Report that looks at nitrogen, fertilizer, and fuel cost shows no changes week over week compared to last year. When we look at the North Carolina crop update, I could summarize that in about 3 sentences here. Corn looks great, soybeans are on the move, and there's no way cotton will be knee-high by 4th of July if things don't heat up around here. When we look at corn, percent planted is 97% in North Carolina with 90% emerged. When we look at cotton, it shows on the 21st, 43% planted. I would dare say that now that's probably around 90%. Soybeans planted 47% with 30% emerged. We look at peanuts, about 55% of the crop is planted in North Carolina. When we look at winter wheat headed, there's 98% of winter wheat headed, some even being harvested this week. When we look at condition by percent, we've got 1% is poor, 10% is fair, 72% is good, and 17% excellent. We look at pasture conditions in North Carolina, 1% very poor, 2% poor, 12% fair, 82% good, and 3% excellent. Most crops are looking good in our area with the exception of cotton and tobacco. They're really not liking this cooler weather. Hopefully we'll get some rain this weekend and temperatures will turn around and things will take off and start growing. U.S. drought remains an issue. USDA released weekly drought monitor data this week. When we look at areas experiencing drought, 26% of the corn, 20% of soybean, 47% of winter wheat, 8% of spring wheat, and 37% of the cattle producing states are still showing extreme drought in the U.S. areas highlighted on the map there. Fortunately, North Carolina's in a little better shape than we were in last year. When we look at overall crop progress, corn by May 21st, producers had planted 81% of the nation's corn crop. That's 12 points ahead of last year and 6 points ahead of the 5-year average. When we look to soybeans, 66% of the nation's acreage was planted by May 21, 19% points ahead of last year and 14 percentage points ahead of the 5-year average. Winter wheat by May 21st, 61% of the nation's wheat crop was headed, equal in both last year and the 5-year average. When we look at cotton, 45% of the crop was planted by the 21st. That's 7% percentage points behind last year, 5 percentage points behind the 5-year average. Other crops, when we look at peanuts, 55% of the 2023 crop acres was in the ground by May 21st. That's 7 points behind last year and 6 percentage points behind the 5-year average. As we start the commodity update, we'll begin with corn. During the week ending May 23rd, funds sold 22,721 contracts. Old corn crop recovered nicely, reversing all of last week's losses and then some. 550 is now a confirmed support price. New crop improved materially as recovery was quite stout. Higher trading closes next week does leave a little bullish pattern. When we look at wheat, during the week ending May 23rd, funds sold 4,775 contracts. Chicago wheat was fractionally higher for the week at the $6 level. It is developing as sport. Issues in the Black Sea have stranded 40 cargoes of wheat as issues over the grain deal add some risk premium. When we look at cotton during the week ending May 23rd, funds bought almost 19,000 contracts. Old crop cotton, our hopes were dashed yet again as last week's rally was flatly reversed and range bound trade is still the story of the day. New crop was also lower for the week and followed old crop lower. Texas is seeking improvement in moisture and drought situation down there, and hopefully they'll get some good emergence. Cotton is a little slow getting started here. We need some warmer weather. Soybeans during the week ending May 23rd, funds sold 7,782 contracts. Old crop soybeans were higher for the week as recovery from the plunge and support ended around a $13 level. New crop futures were higher, but gains were smaller, and prices did probe new lows. The RSI on the weekly chart is oversold territory as crop planting progress is strong. When we look at live cattle during the week ending May 23rd, funds brought almost 2,200 contracts. August live cattle was higher for the week as August futures did touch new life for contract high. Choice cutouts were steadily around the $300 hundredweight. Cash and dress price were seen $2 to $5 higher. When we look at feeder cattle during the week ending May 23rd, funds bought almost 2,400 contracts. August feeder cattle were a little lower for the week as some light profit taken after a big run. Higher was driving the futures. Got some good news this week for cotton producers, and this was in an article by the Cotton Grower magazine. Bangladesh lifts fumigation requirements on U.S. cotton imports. Bangladesh government has relaxed its nearly 5-decade-long fumigation requirements of U.S. cotton imports, due in part by the Bangladesh Ministry of Ag delegation tour to U.S. in 2022. The shift removes a significant export barrier for U.S. cotton to Bangladesh, as well as saving the mills in Bangladesh time and money as they look to the U.S. to fill their cotton fiber import needs. Bangladesh mills have been paying over $1 million annually to cover unnecessary fumigation costs imposed on cotton imported by the U.S. The delegation learned why U.S. bales do not harbor live boll weevils, including a review of U.S. cotton industry's very successful boll weevil eradication program and its modern cotton harvesting and standardized ginning techniques. Additional discussion topics included inspection and certification process with APHIS during Zoom calls at NCC headquarters in Cordova, Tennessee, and during a meeting with the Texas boll weevil eradication program in Abilene. According to USDA FAS May 2023 Global Market Analysis, Bangladesh presently ranks as the number 2 global importer of cotton and was a top 10 export market for U.S. cotton in 2022, with exports valued at $477 million. Although there's some domestic cotton produced in Bangladesh, it only accounts for 1% of their demand. Hopefully, this will increase cotton prices for U.S. cotton producers in 2023 and beyond. When we look to Argentina and Brazil, we'll start with Argentina. Unseasonably high rainfall provided timely moisture for winter grain germination in central Argentina. However, drier conditions prevailed in northern farming areas, aiding seasonal field work delayed by previous periods of rain. According to the government of Argentina, corn was 37% harvested as of May 18 versus 45% last year, and soybeans were at 72% harvested versus 84% last year. Cotton was 34% harvested compared to 44% last year. Winter grain planting was reportedly underway in areas with sufficient moisture where summer crop harvesting was complete. When we jumped to Brazil, it was warm, sunny weather dominated nearly all major ag areas, sparring rapid development of immature row crops. According to the government of Parana, 67% of the fully planted second corn crop had reached flowering as of May 15th, In Rio Grande do Sul, soybeans and corn were 92 and 87% harvested respectively as of May 18th. Further north, corn harvesting was early stages in Mato Grosso. When we look to Ukraine, there's some interesting news coming out of there. Spring plantings are nearly complete. According to Ag Ministry data released yesterday, indicated plantings were 97% complete. This ministry estimates that the total spring grain area will decline 5.5 million hectares from 5.9 in 2022. The estimate includes 3.7 million hectares of corn, which is the country's largest spring crop by a wide margin. They'll also be planting some spring wheat, barley, peas, and oats. Well, that about wraps up this edition of In the Loop Weekend Ag Talk, brought to you by Alphen Insurance Agency, the home of Policy Plus. We hope you all have a great Memorial weekend. Don't forget, slow down a little bit this weekend and take time to remember those who died while serving the United States Armed Forces. That's why we have Monday off, and that's why we observe this weekend. And a shout out to all the farmers who help feed and clothe the world. Thank you for what you do. Always remember to make mental health a priority around your home and your operation. Take time for yourselves and make time for those around you. Y'all have a great weekend. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time on In the Loop.